I mean, here it is, the natural instinct, and here is control.
Bruce Lee was more than a martial arts icon. He was a global star, a businessman, and a family man whose life ended far too soon. But years after his sudden death, one detail about his final decisions caught many fans off guard. It wasn't about a fight. It wasn't about a movie. It was about what he chose to leave behind and who he chose to leave it to. Join us as we break down the truth behind Bruce Lee's final wishes and the surprising choice that still gets people talking today. Born Under the Dragon. Bruce Lee was born on November 27, 1940, in San Francisco's Chinatown, at a time when the world was moving toward war and many families were living between cultures. His birth was tied to travel and performance from the very start. Bruce's parents, Lee Hoi Chuen and Grace Ho, were in the United States because of work. Lee Hoi Chuen was a Cantonese opera performer, part of a traveling company that toured and performed for overseas Chinese communities. Grace Ho, Bruce's mother, had mixed Chinese and European ancestry, which was unusual in the traditional world Bruce would later grow up in. Even before he could speak, Bruce's life already carried the idea of being between worlds, between the US and Hong Kong, and between strict tradition and change. In Chinese astrology, Bruce was said to be born in the year and hour of the dragon, which many people see as a sign connected with strength, boldness, and special destiny. Because of that, he later became known by the Chinese stage name Li Xiulong, meaning Li the Little Dragon. His birth name was Li Junfan, which means return again. His mother chose that name with a hope in mind that one day Bruce would come back to the United States, the place where he was born, and build a bigger life there. At the time, it was just a wish. No one could know how much that idea of returning would shape the real path of his life. Just 4 months after his birth, Bruce's family returned to Hong Kong in April 1941. The move came at a terrible time in history. In December 1941, Japan launched an attack on Hong Kong, and the city soon fell under Japanese occupation during World War II. For the next years, daily life was filled with fear and uncertainty. There were food shortages, harsh control from the military, and a constant sense that danger could appear at any moment. Bruce's earliest memories were formed in a place where survival mattered. Instead of a peaceful childhood, he grew up surrounded by tension, scarcity, and strict limits on normal life. Those years can leave a deep psychological mark on anyone, especially a child. Even if he was too young to understand politics or war, he would have felt the stress in the adults around him and the instability of the world outside. At 9 years old, he starred in The Kid, a movie based on a local comic character. By the time he turned 18, Bruce had already appeared in around 20 films. While many teenagers were still trying to figure out who they were, Bruce had years of experience taking direction, facing an audience, and learning how to project energy through the screen. That early training and performance would later become a major advantage when he stepped onto bigger stages. And soon, that little dragon childhood would collide with the street fight chaos that pushed him into martial arts for real. The Rejected Disciple. As Bruce Lee moved into his teenage years in Hong Kong, his life started to feel like it was always boiling over. He had energy, confidence, and a strong personality, but he didn't fit easily into the normal rules that school and society expected. He first attended Tak Sun School in Kowloon, close to where his family lived. Over time, though, his grades and behavior became a problem. He wasn't stupid or slow. He was sharp and quick. But he didn't focus well on the kind of learning schools demanded, and he often clashed with authority. That led to him being transferred in 1956 to St. Francis Xavier's College, a stricter school that many families chose when they wanted discipline for their kids. At home, things weren't calm either. In the early 1950s, Bruce's father, Lee Hoi Chuen, struggled with opium addiction. That kind of problem doesn't stay private. It brings stress, financial pressure, arguments, and uncertainty into a household. Even if the family tried to hide it, a teenager like Bruce would feel the tension. When a home feels unstable, some kids shut down. Bruce did the opposite. He acted out more. He got into trouble, chased excitement, and spent more time in the streets where he could feel in control. By the time Bruce was around 13, he was getting into street fights often. Hong Kong in that era had a strong street culture among teenage boys, and fights could start over pride, school rivalries, or simple disrespect. Bruce was small but fearless, and he didn't back down easily. Around 1953, a friend named William Chung saw where this was going and believed Bruce needed structure before he got hurt, or worse. Chung introduced him to a respected Wing Chun master, Ip Man. Ip Man was already famous in martial arts circles, and many young people wanted to train with him. Bruce tried to join the school, but he was rejected at first. The reason wasn't his attitude or talent. It was his background. Bruce's mother, Grace Ho, had mixed Chinese and European ancestry. In those traditional circles, that could be used to label Bruce as not fully Chinese, and some people believed Kung Fu should be taught only to full-blooded Chinese students. That kind of thinking was common at the time, and it created a wall in front of Bruce before he even threw a punch in training. William Chung pushed back and spoke up for him. Eventually, Ip Man allowed Bruce to train, but the problems didn't disappear. Some students refused to work with him because of his heritage. This meant Bruce didn't always get full access to group learning, and he often had to train in different ways. Over time, he began training more privately, learning from Ip Man when possible, and also working closely with fighters like Wang Shunleung, a skilled Wing Chun practitioner known for real fighting experience. Bruce's situation was tough, but it also built something important in him: the belief that rules and traditions could be unfair and limiting. Even while training, Bruce kept fighting in the streets. In 1958, things exploded into a serious incident. Bruce became involved in a rooftop fight with students connected to a rival martial arts group linked with Choi Li Fut. During the brawl, Bruce hit back hard and knocked out one boy's tooth. The injured boy's family reported it, and the matter reached the police. Suddenly, it wasn't just boys being boys. It was legal trouble. Bruce's mother had to go to the police station and take responsibility, and she made a decision that changed his future. Bruce needed to leave Hong Kong before his violence pulled him into something he couldn't escape. By 18, Bruce had become too explosive for Hong Kong to hold safely, and the next step was a one-way ticket back to the country of his birth. And once he landed in America, Bruce didn't calm down. He started breaking rules even faster. Starting over in America. When Bruce Lee left Hong Kong and arrived in the United States in 1959, he was only 18 years old, but he was already carrying a full life behind him: street fights, movie work, and martial arts training that had become deeply personal. The move wasn't just a new chapter, it was also an escape. His family wanted him far from the trouble he kept finding in Hong Kong, and America offered distance, safety, and a chance to restart before the next fight turned into something permanent. Bruce first stayed in San Francisco with his older sister, Agnes Lee. San Francisco was familiar in one way because it was his birthplace, but he didn't really grow up there. He was still a young man who felt more like an outsider than a local. Not long after, he moved north to Seattle, Washington, where he began rebuilding his life from the ground up. Seattle in the early 1960s wasn't glamorous, and Bruce wasn't living the American dream. He was broke, working hard, and trying to finish school while figuring out who he wanted to become. Was employed as a live-in waiter, which was employed as a live-in waiter, which meant work and home were tied together. He wasn't just earning spending money, he was earning survival. His days were filled with shifts, chores, and the pressure of being a young immigrant trying to prove he could make it. But Bruce had a habit that never faded. He used every spare moment to train. Even when life was tough, his mind stayed focused on movement, fighting, and improvement. It didn't take long before he started teaching. This is where Bruce's American story becomes different from what many people expected. Instead of hiding his skills or keeping them inside a closed community, he began sharing them openly. He called his approach Junfan Gung Fu, named after his own given name, Jun Fan. It was rooted in what he learned from Wing Chun, but Bruce was already changing things. He wasn't trying to copy his teachers exactly. He was asking what works in real life, and then adjusting methods to fit that answer. He cared about speed, directness, and practical results, not tradition for tradition's sake. Bruce's first student in Seattle was Jesse Glover, an African-American athlete and judo practitioner. This is important because it shows how early Bruce broke with the usual martial arts rules of that time. Many Chinese martial arts schools were still selective, often choosing students based on culture or race. Bruce did the opposite. He taught people because they were serious and willing to learn. As his small group grew, he accepted students of many backgrounds: Black, white, Asian, and Latino. This was rare in that period, especially for a young Chinese teacher. It also made Bruce controversial again. Some people saw him as reckless for giving away what they considered cultural knowledge. Bruce saw it as honest and fair. If someone respected the art and trained hard, that was enough. While teaching and working, Bruce also aimed higher academically. In 1961, he enrolled at the University of Washington. Officially, he studied drama, which connected to his early years as a child actor and his interest in performance. He understood camera presence, timing, and how to hold attention, skills that would matter later. But Bruce often said his real passion was philosophy. He read widely and thought deeply about identity, discipline, and personal freedom. He didn't limit himself to one tradition. He pulled ideas from both Eastern and Western thinking and tried to test them through daily life and training. And soon, Bruce would step onto a big stage in California and shock the entire martial arts world in one public performance: the Wong Jack Man fight. By 1964, Bruce Lee was building real momentum in the United States. He was young, confident, and already known in parts of the West Coast martial arts scene. But the thing that made him stand out wasn't only his speed or skill. It was his decision to teach martial arts to anyone who wanted to learn, including non-Chinese students. In that era, many people in the traditional Chinese Kung Fu community believed that training should stay inside the Chinese community. Some saw Kung Fu as cultural property that should not be shared with outsiders. Others believed teaching non-Chinese people would weaken the community's standing or expose techniques that should stay private. Bruce didn't accept that thinking. He believed fighting methods belonged to anyone willing to train seriously. He also believed that a teacher should be judged by skill and results, not by who he teaches. That attitude created tension fast. According to accounts later shared by Bruce's wife, Linda Lee, elders and leaders in the Chinese martial arts community became angry and wanted Bruce to stop. Bruce refused, and that refusal is what set the stage for a confrontation that became one of the most debated events of his life. The story that spread afterward was that a challenge was arranged to settle the issue. A young martial artist named Wong Jack Man, a man with strong traditional training, was chosen to face Bruce. Whether it was formally ordered by elders or simply encouraged by people in the community depends on who you believe. But the core idea remains the same. The fight became a symbol of a larger conflict. Bruce represented openness and change. Wong represented tradition, control, and boundaries. The fight took place in 1964 in Oakland at Bruce's school. It was not a public match. There was no audience, no announcer, and no official rules written down for the public to review later. It happened behind closed doors, with only a small group of witnesses allowed inside. No one filmed it. No photos, no video. That one detail, no recording, became the reason this fight never settled anything. Without proof, the fight turned into a story that different people reshaped over time. What makes the Wong Jack Man fight so controversial is that there are three major versions of what happened, and they don't match. Linda Lee's version is the most direct and most supportive of Bruce. She said the fight lasted about 3 minutes and ended with Bruce clearly winning. In her account, Bruce attacked quickly, pressured Wong and forced him to quit. But she also added an important detail that people sometimes ignore. Bruce was angry afterward, not because he lost, but because he felt the fight took longer than it should have. Even if it was only a few minutes, Bruce expected an even faster finish. To him, the fight showed that his current approach was not efficient enough. Winning wasn't enough. He wanted it to be cleaner, faster, and more controlled. A different version came from William Chen, a respected martial artist who was said to be present. Chen claimed the fight lasted 20 to 25 minutes, not 3, and that it ended with no clear winner. In this telling, Bruce struggled to land truly damaging strikes, and the fight dragged on until both men were tired and the situation was stopped. Chen's version suggests the match didn't produce a decisive result and that the outcome was closer to a draw. Then there is Wong Jackman's own version, which also rejects the idea that Bruce won quickly. Wong claimed Bruce began aggressively and fought in a wild, rushing way. Wong also claimed he held back at points because he didn't want to seriously injure Bruce. In Wong's telling, the fight did not end because Wong gave up. Instead, it ended because Bruce became exhausted, and the match was stopped without a clean finish or official victory. So, what's the truth? We can't say with certainty because the fight was private, poorly documented, and remembered differently by the people connected to it. What we can say is that the fight did not produce a clean public resolution. It created arguments, not closure. Afterward, things got even more complicated. Wong later issued a public challenge for a rematch, reportedly printed in a San Francisco newspaper. Bruce refused. He didn't respond publicly and didn't agree to fight again. That silence became fuel for endless speculation. Some people interpreted it as Bruce taking the high road and refusing to play into public drama. Others saw it as avoidance. Either way, the refusal meant the story stayed open, and people kept filling the gaps with their own opinions. But the most important result of the fight wasn't who won, it was what it did to Bruce internally. He walked away dissatisfied. Whether he won easily, barely won, or fought to a draw, he felt something was wrong with the way traditional styles trained people. He believed many systems were too rigid, too stuck in patterns, and too focused on forms that didn't translate well under pressure. He became obsessed with efficiency, how to move faster, hit cleaner, waste less energy, and adapt freely. That mindset pushed him deeper into studying other methods like boxing and fencing ideas, and it became a major step toward forming his own approach. And after this fight, Bruce didn't just train harder, he started rebuilding martial arts from scratch in his own way. Hollywood struggles. Bruce Lee's path into mainstream entertainment wasn't smooth, even though he already had years of film experience from Hong Kong. When he started working in American television, he quickly proved he had something special on camera: sharp movement, strong presence, and a way of making action look fast and real. His biggest early TV break came when he was cast as Kato in The Green Hornet. The role made him visible to a wide audience, especially people who had never seen Chinese martial arts before. But even in that success, there was frustration. Kato was not the lead character. The show was built around the Green Hornet, and Bruce was often treated like the sidekick who supported the main star. Many viewers, though, walked away talking about Kato. Bruce's physical control, timing, and intensity sometimes stole the scene without him even trying. Still, the industry didn't fully know what to do with him. The show also didn't last long. The Green Hornet was canceled after one season, which meant Bruce lost the steady platform that could have helped him build a bigger career quickly. After that, Bruce tried to push forward, but Hollywood put walls in front of him again and again. He had ideas for shows and films, and he wanted to play roles that were deeper than mysterious fighter. He also wanted to have some control over how martial arts were shown. But many studios and producers weren't ready to take a Chinese lead actor seriously in a major American project. Bruce faced rejected pitches and slow progress, even as his reputation in martial arts kept growing. One of the most talked about frustrations from this period is the alleged lost opportunity with the Kung Fu series. The story, as many people repeat it, is that Bruce had a concept that resembled what later became the TV show Kung Fu, but he didn't get the lead role when the show moved forward. Whether every detail of that story is exactly right depends on who you ask, but the larger point is clear. Bruce felt blocked. He believed he had the talent, the ideas, and the work ethic, yet Hollywood kept limiting him, so he made a bold choice. Instead of staying in the U.S. and waiting for permission, he returned to Hong Kong, where the film industry was ready for him in a way Hollywood wasn't. And once he returned, everything moved fast. Pulled audiences in even more. Next was The Big Boss, which turned him into a major star almost overnight. Then came Fist of Fury, where his mix of emotion, speed, and intensity pulled audiences in even more. Next was Way of the Dragon, a key step because Bruce had more creative control and could shape the action and the tone the way he wanted. Finally, Enter the Dragon pushed him into a new level, connecting Hong Kong martial arts cinema with a global audience. The shift was dramatic. In America, Bruce fought for small openings. In Hong Kong, he became a leading man and a box office force in a very short time. His rise wasn't slow or gradual, it was rapid, and it changed his life's direction immediately. And just when it looked like Bruce had finally reached his peak, one strange day in 1973 would turn everything into a mystery. The Betty Ting Pei Scandal. On July 20th, 1973, Bruce Lee's life ended in a way that shocked people not only because he was young, but also because of where it happened and who was involved. That day, Bruce went to the Hong Kong apartment of a young actress named Betty Ting Pei. According to reports from the time, he was there to talk about work, including plans connected to a film project he wanted to finish, Game of Death. Earlier in the day, Raymond Chow, a major producer and one of Bruce's key business partners in Hong Kong, was also present during discussions. Nothing about the day was publicly described as wild or dangerous. By most accounts, Bruce seemed normal, focused, and in a working mood. But later that afternoon, Bruce began to complain about a headache. This detail matters because it becomes the center of what happened next. Betty later said she wanted to help and offered him a painkiller called Equagesic. Equagesic was not just a simple aspirin. It was a combination medicine that included aspirin and a tranquilizer-type drug. Bruce took the pill, said he needed to rest, and went into Betty's bedroom to lie down. After that, he never woke up. When the news broke, people around the world were stunned. Bruce Lee was known as one of the most disciplined and physically fit men alive. A sudden death at 32 years old didn't feel real to many fans. But almost immediately, the attention shifted from grief to suspicion. Not only had Bruce died unexpectedly, but he had died in a woman's apartment, not at home with his wife Linda and his children. That fact alone was enough to spark a media frenzy, especially in Hong Kong's tabloid-driven press, where celebrity stories were often treated like public drama. The headlines moved fast. The public started asking the same questions over and over. Why was Bruce there? Was Betty more than a friend? Was she his mistress? Was there an affair? Even though there was no clear proof offered to support those claims, the rumors spread quickly and became part of the story in a way that never fully went away. In many people's minds, the location of his death became evidence, even though it was not evidence of anything by itself. Betty Ting Pei was suddenly under a harsh spotlight. She became the target of blame, suspicion, and judgment, almost as if people needed someone to point to in order to make sense of what happened. Betty has consistently said that she and Bruce were close friends and that they were together for work-related reasons. She also said she met Bruce through Raymond Chow and that her connection to him was not a secret. In her version of events, there was nothing romantic going on, and she had no reason to expect anything dangerous would happen after Bruce took a painkiller and went to rest. Betty later tried to defend herself publicly, but it was difficult to fight the story once it caught fire. For years, she lived with the consequences. Every time Bruce Lee's death was discussed, her name came up again. In interviews, she expressed how unfair it felt to be judged based on rumors rather than facts. To many people, she became linked to tragedy in a way she couldn't escape, even though no proof showed she caused harm or acted with bad intent. The scandal wasn't just about gossip. It shaped how people viewed Bruce's final hours, and it made it harder for the public to accept simple explanations. Instead of focusing only on medical facts, the world focused on suspicion, shame, and the idea that something hidden must have been going on. And once the rumors took over, the bigger question got even louder. What actually caused Bruce Lee's death? The medical mystery. After the shock of July 20th, 1973, the biggest question quickly became simple but urgent. What actually killed Bruce Lee? The official medical ruling at the time stated that he died from cerebral edema, which means swelling of the brain. Brain swelling is dangerous because the skull cannot expand. When pressure builds inside the head, it can quickly affect breathing, consciousness, and heart function. Doctors initially believed the swelling was caused by an allergic reaction to the painkiller Equagesic, the medication Bruce took for his headache that afternoon. The idea was that his body reacted badly to the drug, triggering a chain of events that led to fatal brain swelling. But even in 1973, this explanation left people uneasy. Bruce was young, extremely fit, and known for strict physical discipline. Could a single pill really end his life so suddenly? The doubt grew stronger when another important detail came to light. In May 1973, just 2 months before his death, Bruce had already suffered a serious medical episode while working on Enter the Dragon. On set, he complained of a headache and dizziness, then collapsed. He was rushed to the hospital where doctors found that he had also experienced brain swelling during that incident. He recovered and returned to work, but this earlier collapse showed a pattern. His brain had already reacted dangerously once before. That detail suggested that July was not an isolated event, but possibly the second episode in a developing medical problem. Then came the speculation about drugs. The autopsy report mentioned traces of cannabis in Bruce's system. For some people, that was enough to fuel rumors. Stories began to circulate suggesting drug use may have caused his death. However, medical experts pushed back against this idea. A British pathologist involved in reviewing the case dismissed cannabis as a direct cause of cerebral edema. There is no clear scientific proof that cannabis alone causes fatal brain swelling in a healthy adult. While the mention of drugs made headlines, most medical professionals did not accept it as the main explanation. Even today, the mystery isn't fully settled, but the medical picture is clearer than it once was. If you found this video interesting, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and join us for the next story, where we uncover even more hidden truths behind legendary lives.